Major clashes are taking place between security forces and stone pelters in Anantnag in South Kashmir. The stone pelters attacked a CRPF camp in Janglatmandi area. Stone pelters were waving Pakistani flags and also posters of Zakir Musa during these clashes. The forces used tear gas shells to push back the mob, but as you see in these images, innocent Kashmiris out to celebrate Eid, returning from the morning prayers from the nearby mosque, they were caught in this exchange between the security forces and the stone pelters. Take a look. There you see two images, Eid being celebrated, prayers being held in mosques, and on the other side you have youth waving Pakistani flags, waving posters of a terrorist like Zakir Musa. I want to bring in India Today's Ashutosh Mishra for more on this. Ashutosh, what prompted this?
Well, started right after the prayer that was offered on the day of the very first prayer, and then it triggered to this outbreak when these stone pelters attacked the camp, and also we are seeing the visual, the very shocking image that how the attack was not only against the CRPF but also to the innocent civilians when they tried to escape out to these stone pelters. But that outbreak seems not going to be, end up only in Anantnag, a number of other places where the security has been tightened. We have also seen advisory that is issued by Jammu and Kashmir police asking its police personnel not to offer Eid prayer without where there's no protection. So clearly, when the cops are told to offer prayer only in the protected zone, so this is completely raising a bigger concern as far as the security in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Also, that exposes the stone pelters who call themselves when they run an indigenous movement. So these, no movement allows any such people to attack its civilian and the forces. So we have seen clearly how these stone pelters have exposed themselves in these visuals clearly, Gaurav.
Absolutely, they stand completely exposed. General Shankar Prasad, what do you make of these images that we see? We see a family caught in between these stone pelters and the security forces. They were returning from the mosque and these stone pelters started targeting the security forces. No provocation whatsoever. It's Eid today. Everyone's celebrating except these stone pelters.
Well, this is well planned by Pakistan and those people who are supporting Pakistan's agenda in Kashmir. This has been planned to have been happening so early in the morning, and obviously the instructions for these have come out much earlier. A short while ago on another panel somebody said it's a well played card by Pakistan. I completely disagree. It's an absolutely wrong plan that Pakistan has unleashed today. This they're going to pay very heavily very soon. We must understand the international environment today. The Prime Minister of India has travelled across the globe to practically all world powers, and as very recently he is going now to Israel in just another few days.
Yes.
And those are the powers that are going to support India, not physically by helping us in actually attacking or doing anything like that, but also support us morally from outside. As the you see, each word every of these leaders is saying are very meaningful. The Prime Minister has remarked that surgical strike done by us did not have any negative response from anybody. This is an indicator that there are going to be some more things happening,
yes,
and we are quite sure that the world powers are with us because we've got to sort out our own problems ourselves. If we think Israel, Germany, Pakistan, America, anybody else is going to come and solve our problem on terrorism, that is not going to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Prime Minister knows it very well. Prime Minister is preparing for a strategic response, which is fairly in the advanced stages of preparation. This activity, which has happened today on a very day when Eid is being celebrated, a festival of friendship and festival of peace. People eat meals together, people eat semai together, people maro jappis together, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, everybody is celebrating Eid today like everybody celebrates Diwali or Dasera. Here is Pakistan playing its card miserably, asking for trouble to come sooner than what would have come on them.
Absolutely, and we will explain. We will expose Pakistan.
Pakistan can only be stopped if we have punishment inflicted on Pakistan military.
Absolutely, General, stay with me for a moment. We will prove this is Pakistan, and we will show you there are elements. General, stay with me. There are elements in this country who say this is an indigenous movement. It clearly is not, and on this broadcast, we'll show you Kashmiris who are saying we are Indians. We don't want to fall prey to this Pakistan-sponsored terror, and we want this Pakistan-sponsored terror to be punished because they themselves are victims of this terror. But before I come to that, I want you to listen and I want you to see an advisory that's been issued by the Jammu and Kashmir police, and that is heartbreaking. The Jammu and Kashmir police has actually asked its police personnel not to pray at unprotected mosques. Why? Because a brave Deputy Superintendent of Police, Muhammad Ayub Pandit, was lynched in outside Jamia Masjid in Nauhata in downtown Srinagar. That is how unsafe this security personnel have now become in this Pakistan-sponsored war in Kashmir. The Director General of the Jammu and Kashmir Police, SP Vaid, had to issue an advisory that only go to pray at the district police line mosques or other mosques that are protected by the J&K police, the army or the CRPF in their areas. I want to bring in Sushant Sareen for more on this. Sushant Sareen, what's happening in Kashmir that policemen are being told don't go to a mosque and pray, don't go home, because there could be a situation like what happened with DSP Muhammad Ayub, because perhaps his surname was Pandit.
See, we know that the situation is deteriorating, and it's deteriorating alarmingly, and I think we have been a little remiss in recognizing how fast the situation has been deteriorating, and it's not happening just suddenly. It's been bubbling for a few years now, Gaurav, and we have spoken about it, not necessarily on air but otherwise, and the telltale signs were there, but we were also in a bit of denial. But now that the situation is upon us, I think the advisory which has been issued is a sensible advisory given the circumstances. Ideally, what should have happened is that they should have created a situation where the police officers in a local area could go into a local mosque and carry out their prayers without the fear of these fellows. But clearly the forces have not kind of found the balance on the ground as yet. And to then let policemen go into mosques where there are ones or twos, and they can be very easily targeted because they come from the same society from which many of these terrorists and stone pelters and separatists come from,
yes,
would leave them vulnerable. So I think to that extent one can understand the advisory. But ideally the situation should be that any policeman should be able to go into a mosque and pray in his local mosque or his village mosque, and without the kind of fear which is currently underway.
And that is where the Mehbooba Mufti government needs to step in. Instead of those who defend the law, instead of they being scared, those who violate the law, they should be on the run. That should be the level of proactive policing that should be carried out in this state.
Gaurav, the problem...
Stay with me for a moment, Sushant Sareen. I'll tell you why. Why is this Pakistan-sponsored terror? And now Kashmiris are rising against it. I want to talk about three specific instances. We talked a little about DSP Muhammad Ayub Pandit's case. Let's also talk about the SHO of Achbal area in South Kashmir, Firoz Dar. 6 policemen who were killed by these Pakistan-sponsored terrorists. I also want to talk about Lieutenant Umar Fayaz, a brave young army officer, how his life was cut short by Pakistan-sponsored terrorists, and how families are now coming forward and say, defeat this Pakistan-sponsored terror in Kashmir, or we will do it ourselves. Listen to their pain, listen to their anguish. If this doesn't move you, nothing will.
मैं उनको यही कहना चाहती हूँ कि उसने क्या किया था उनके साथ, जो उन्होंने हमारे साथ ऐसा किया। हमें इंसाफ चाहिए, हमारे बच्चों को इंसाफ चाहिए। हम उसको वापस तो नहीं ला सकते हैं, पर हम ये चाहते हैं कि हमें इंसाफ चाहिए, कश्मीर को इंसाफ चाहिए। रोज रोज ऐसा होता है, क्यों होता है ऐसा? माँ बहनों के साथ क्यों होता है ऐसा? बच्चों के साथ क्यों होता है ऐसा? मेरे लश्कर वालों को एक करके ढूंढ निकालोगी। जिसने भी हमारे हस्बैंड के साथ ये किया है, मैं उनको छोड़ूंगी नहीं। उनका खुदा क्या है? उन्होंने उनके साथ क्या किया था? उन्होंने ऐसा किया।
जैसे श्रीनगर में एक डीएसपी जो थे, मॉब ने, भीड़ ने, झुंड ने उन पर हमला कर दिया। पुलिस वालों पर लगातार हमले हो रहे हैं।
पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है, हमें क्या पता है, मतलब ये समझ नहीं आता है पुलिस वालों पर क्यों अटैक। हमें इतना पता है कि मेरा बेटा ड्यूटी पर है, ड्यूटी के दौरान उसकी लाश मुझे घर पहुंची, बस।
कुछ वैसा ही हुआ जो डीएसपी पंडित थे उनके साथ भी?
जैसा मुझे हुआ वैसा उसका माँ बाप भी, या उसका बेटे या बीवी जो उसके घर के फैमिली है उसके साथ भी ऐसा हुआ जैसा मुझे हुआ।
अगर वो तब तक जिंदा रहे तो यही बच्ची होगी जो उनका पोस्टमार्टम करेगी, याद रखिएगा। ये बेगुनाह खून का जो ये हर्जाना है उनको देना होगा, और अल्लाह मियां उनको छोड़ने वाला नहीं है।
मुझे नहीं मालूम था कि उन्होंने मेरे हस्बैंड को क्या कर रहे हैं। मेरी दुनिया उजाड़ कर दी उन्होंने, मेरे मासूम बच्चों को यतीम कर दिया। ये लोग नहीं है, दरिंदे हैं, दरिंदे हैं ये। इनको सजा दे जिन्होंने मेरे हस्बैंड का, मेरे खानदान ऐसा किया।
ये लोग नहीं, ये दरिंदे हैं। This is what the widow of a DSP has to say. He's a Kashmiri Muslim killed by fellow Kashmiris. The question is, why was he killed? Why was Lieutenant Umar Fayaz killed? Why was SHO Firoz Dar killed? His wife says, I will hunt and kill those Pakistan-sponsored Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists. And this is the point. This is the point, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, that India, you should unite and take on this Pakistan-sponsored terror with these brave J&K police personnel perhaps leading the charge.
Well, you are absolutely right, and in fact the entire 2-minute clip that you showed was extremely heartrending for any civilized person, not just in India but in the world. But the fact is that this must also be pleasing Pakistan no end. They have now reached the heart of Srinagar, the heart of Jammu and Kashmir, and this shows their reach, which has happened only twice in history so far. Once in 47-48 when they were just few kilometers short of the Srinagar airport, then in 65 again when they were just a few kilometers short of the Srinagar airport. So till we get our act together, till we are able to effectively deter them, the fact is that we are facing a very serious situation. A situation where police is being deliberately targeted to demoralize not just the police force but also the population of the state.
Yes.
So the situation is serious. The earlier we wake up, the better it is, not just for Kashmir but for India as such.
Oh, absolutely.
And at the moment, Pakistan has reason to be delighted by its success.
God willing, not for long, because General Shankar Prasad in 1947-48 and in 1965, Pakistan had to use its army. In 2017, Pakistan is actually using misguided Kashmiri youth against Kashmiri police officers. And what's a cause for very serious concern, General Shankar Prasad, is that policemen are being told, do not go to a mosque and pray outside the district police lines. Why should the police be on the back foot? It's these Pakistan-sponsored proxies who should be on the back foot.
What a sad day and what a defeatist statement. And why is it so? We are so sorry and so sad in the country today that the security forces and the police have lost respect and have lost care. These two things are very vital for security forces, to have respect and to be scared of them. Who's responsible for creating the situation over the last few years and particularly last few months? It is the so-called human rights activists, it's so-called the peaceniks, it's so-called the hurriyats, it's so-called the politicians who only got narrow objectives at the moment and are continuously keeping quiet when these things happen. They talk about pellet guns, they talk about Gogoi's activity and make a big mountain out of a small little thing which has been superbly done by that officer. All of these things have emboldened these people to do what they are doing today. And that is the cause for having lost respect, having lost any scare. And that is the reason why today the DGP or the IG police have issued instructions that please pray at your own home or in protected mosque. What a shameful statement to make.
That is not the way it should be. Because the Jammu and Kashmir police is very strong.
Take action against those people.
Absolutely, the army is very strong. General, I'll come back to this point. I have to take a quick break.
Having taken our security forces to this level.
Absolutely. So how should that fight back take place is what we'll discuss on the other side of a quick break. These brave Kashmiris should not be crying. They should not be scared. They should be hitting back at Pakistan-sponsored terror. How? We'll discuss that on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.
मैं उनको यही कहना चाहती हूँ कि उसने क्या किया था इसने उनके साथ जो उन्होंने हमारे साथ ऐसा किया हमें इंसाफ चाहिए हमारे बच्चों को इंसाफ चाहिए हम उसको वापस तो नहीं ला सकते हैं पर हम ये चाहते हैं कि हमें इंसाफ चाहिए कश्मीर को इंसाफ चाहिए रोज रोज ऐसा होता है क्यों होता है ऐसा माँ बहनों के साथ क्यों होता है ऐसा बच्चों के साथ क्यों होता है ऐसा मेरे लश्कर वालों को एक करके ढूंढ निकालोगी जिसने भी हमारे हस्बैंड के साथ ये किया है मैं उनको छोड़ूंगी नहीं उनका खुदा क्या है उन्होंने उनके साथ क्या किया था उन्होंने ऐसा किया
These are people who believe in India, like the DSP's niece, DSP Muhammad Ayub Pandit's niece, with pride and pain. She said, I am an Indian. What will you do? And that's a challenge to these Lashkar terrorists, to Pakistan and its proxies. Ambassador Dogra, is it time for India to say, we don't care what the world says, this is our problem, we will solve it, and then go ahead and solve it?
I think it is more than time. The slide really started when the CRPF Jawans were humiliated and beaten on the streets of Kashmir.
Yes.
We did nothing. We should have given exemplary punishment to those who were pushing those CRPF Jawans. And then we let the debate about Major Gogia,
Yes, absolutely,
Gogoi.
Major Gogoi.
We should have stopped that debate right there.
And enough is enough.
Right
now
there,
sort out terror, Sushant Sareen.
Right,
that is what needs to be
at the
done.
right time.
I don't think that it's not that the government doesn't want to sort out the terrorists. I think the problem is, and I don't think that they care very much about what the rest of the world is going to say. But look, let's face it, you can't go in and take a steamroller and run it all over Kashmir. So I think you have to do it in a somewhat smart manner. But the problem really is that without the kind of political support, both from the central government as well as from the state government, it becomes very difficult for the officers and men on the ground to take the kind of action they need to take.
Yes.
Even smart action sometimes will, really test the limits of the law. Now, if you are going to start hanging every officer who takes an action, and remember one thing, Gaurav, you know it very well, you've been covering Kashmir for long years.
Yes.
The Special Operations Group of the Jammu and Kashmir Police is apart from the army, was really the sword arm which broke the back of the militancy in Kashmir.
And they still can. They've killed terrorists like Burhan Wani. 11 terrorists had their pictures up. 9 of those 11 were eliminated. The 10th surrendered. The 11th will be eliminated if he doesn't surrender, and also other terrorists. And that is what security forces assure the country, and that is what my sources tell me. We will track that story. But to all my guests for the moment, many thanks for joining me.